Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Shrewsbury Zoning Board of Appeals. Today is December 22nd. Got a couple housekeeping items to review before we get into the public hearings. First order is to review and sign a bill for $419.10 to the Community Advocate for the December 22nd, 2025 legal notices. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to accept the bill.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next is to review and accept meeting minutes from two meetings. First would be the September 29th, 2025 hearing.
I move to accept the meeting minutes for September 29th, 2025 and October 27th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right. First public hearing of the evening. This is a continuation from our November 24th meeting. This is for the 193 Hartford Turnpike Limited Industrial, Jared Fiore. This is to appeal the planning board site plan to construct a gasoline service station with related convenience store, quick service restaurant, and car wash facility. If I could ask the applicant to please step forward.
Good evening, Jared Fuhrer on behalf of Demula Supermarkets, Inc., the appellant.
Thank you.
For the chair, maybe what I can do is I can provide an update of what's been received to date. So from the last meeting, we continued. There's a wealth of information from the planning board file. We wanted to give the board time to kind of peruse that information, to formulate their familiarize themselves with all of the materials that were received, especially in relation to this appeal. So I believe the board has had time to review those materials, and at this stage, if there's anything else that the board needs for their discussion, it's up to the board. Happy to have that conversation.
Okay, so let's start out by talking amongst the board. Dave, you want to start?
First, I don't have any questions for the appellant directly. I'm curious to see if the rest of the board has questions before providing comment, if it's all right to circle around.
That's fine.
Yeah, I have no questions. I'm ready to discuss.
Okay.
I'm the same.
I got a letter from Donald J. O'Neill, attorney at law. And he represents evidently, who does he represent? He represents the gas station. Yeah?
Correct.
Correct.
The applicant. The applicant made a bunch of concessions here in this letter, right? Am I understanding it correctly? He's agreed to do these things.
Correct. So in terms of the planning board decision,
I'm sorry,
for the planning board decision, which letter are we looking at?
this
He's referring to the letter,
December 15th letter from O'Neill.
Correct, yeah, so they are reiterating the planning board hearing process and the concession, or the
Some
conditions.
memorialization of what
Correct.
they agreed
Yep.
to do.
correct.
Additional
So
commentary.
they
to what
agreed
was-
to do all these things to mitigate traffic problems.
Correct.
Physically impossible to do this. Stanchions. No eastbound Route 20 traffic access. Okay, so I just wanted to reiterate it was in that letter. You can go on then. Now, I don't have any other than that. Get that on the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have not seen the letter. We didn't receive a copy of it, so I don't know what's contained in the letter.
So it's December 15th letter from the applicant, and what it does is it just goes through the planning board's process, and it summarizes essentially the conditions that the planning board voted on.
Okay.
And its commentary is in terms of what the wealth of information in the file essentially represents.
And you aren't aware of what the planning board,
No, I'm aware of what the planning board did, which is what we're appealing. If I may have just a brief moment to comment on it, Madam Chair.
okay,
Obviously, we don't have the letter, didn't receive a copy of it, so I can't comment directly as to the specifics that are in it. But knowing what the planning board That is why we are here on appeal, because we believe the planning board did not follow the town bylaws in requiring
We
that it be
understand why
a
you're
safe
here to
site
appeal.
before.
We understand.
Yes.
I understand why you're here
Through the
to
chair.
appeal. I think the zoning board understands why you're here to appeal. I just want to, if this shortcuts the back and forth on this, if the appealing party sees this, and this is memorializing what our planning board has done, that could short circuit a lot of discussion.
I don't think there's going to be any surprises in that. There was an attempt to summarize what occurred at the planning board hearings, and the appellant, or, I'm sorry, Yatco had made attempts to mitigate the concerns of the traffic, and that document outlines what those attempts were. It's all a matter of public record, all discussed during the planning board meetings.
Okay.
But I think it was an attempt, if I might, in order to sort of organize the information for us, given the amount of information that has been in question over the many 8 or 9 planning board hearing meetings.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so this is accessible to this gentleman.
It was part of our appeal, if I may, Madam Chair. It was part of our appeal that although there's conditions tied to the planning board's decision, they are inadequate. I believe, Mr. Selectman, as you said at the last hearing, the analogy was once that toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to put it back in. What was the evidence before the board when they made the decision? The evidence was that this proposed driveway location on Lake Street is too close to the traffic signal. With the current conditions that exist today, there's traffic and queuing that exists today there. And so where the applicant proposes to put that driveway is a known problem. So why is it this wait and see approach when you know what the issue is? You know that you cannot turn left out of that driveway because of how it exists today, that it's too close. So these conditions were not appropriate because they don't guarantee a safe access point as is required by the bylaws.
But do you understand what they're trying to propose here, sir?
I do, yes.
Okay, and
What
you're
was
saying
presented
that's
before the planning board?
insufficient to mitigate the tractor-trailer issue that you have, which is essentially what you have. You're sure not complaining about traffic. You created more
No,
traffic
no,
in the
no.
world.
If I may, sir,
okay.
Okay,
Fran.
if I could.
okay.
We will acknowledge that with the development of the Market Basket Plaza area, there has been traffic that has come to that area. Lake Street has always had queuing issues, though, with this traffic signal. There were mitigation efforts done as part of the development with Market Basket to widen that, to change the intersection and the signals. But what exists today with what the development is that they want to do? The evidence is that there is an issue with where the queuing goes to. So you cannot put this driveway where it's proposed. Market Basket is not anti-development. It'd be great to develop that site. The issue is with the specifics of what they want to do with the driveway. That's all.
But what the Mass Dot has reviewed their proposal, right? Isn't that what that says? Review of the proposed access to 20 and Lake. Entire MEPA review process, Mass Dot has issued a Section 61 finding that acknowledges the state's approval of proposed access and egress points shown on the site plan.
Well-
So the state doesn't think it's a big deal. Why do you think it's a big
I
deal?
don't think that's entirely accurate, and Mr. Nagy, if he's not here yet, will be here. He could speak specific to the traffic issues and the interaction with Mass DOT. What you do have, though, for evidence before you is that the town's own peer reviewer, Bowman, looked at this and said and suggested that there be additional steps taken specific to that Lake Street driveway, and that mitigation efforts be taken. And the applicant didn't do anything in response to that, and then the planning board voted in favor.
At Lake Street, he's offered mitigations. You're concerned that people trying to make the left out of the gas station or whatever that is to get to the signal, to get in, to go east to west or straight into your plaza, you're concerned that that's going to be a problem.
That's one of the concerns, yes, correct.
Okay. I can support that concern, because I could see that could be a real problem. What would happen perhaps is blocking northbound traffic, and then they're all queued up at the light, and that's a possibility, I suppose. So I could kind of support that, but I think that the applicant has really, he's offered 10 foot of easement. He's offered more room.
And that's part of the issue. That's part of the issue.
You don't want him to offer more?
No. That's
Oh.
part of the issue. You can't suggest to the planning board that you would do it. It doesn't become an actual condition, and then all of a sudden you have site plan approval. We'd be in favor of them offering that land and widening that intersection to make it a much more efficient and safe intersection.
It
The
still
problem
couldn't
is
make a left on
they've
it.
only suggested it. That's the issue. They've only suggested it.
I understand, but it doesn't help the left-hand turn issue, does it?
It would,
How's
because
that?
there would be 3 lanes there, so traffic would be closer to the signal itself.
Okay.
Right,
could
so
see your
you would
point there
ease
then.
some of
So
the queuing.
queue just gets smaller.
You would ease some of the queuing, right. Now, part of the issue, though, is that needs to be proposed by the applicant and reviewed by the planning board in full. Have the town's peer reviewer look at it. That wasn't necessarily done. It was at the 11th hour that the applicant came forward and suggested, here's a possible solution. But they never actually went forward with all the steps to say, we could do this, here's our site design, we want Bowman to look at it. And in fairness, they should.
All right. Chris, is that what, this has to be more processed?
So again, the letter on the 15th is just summarizing some of the mitigation efforts that were proposed.
Yes.
Those mitigations take a number of forms. So as part of the planning board process, the board reviewed both the peer review, both the applicant's engineering for traffic considerations. Those were peer reviewed, and many of those received what I guess amounts to a fourth party peer review from Mr. Nagy. So again, a lot of that has been reviewed. There's a wealth of information in there. What the board did is they voted to approve with a slate of conditions. Some of those include the schematic designs that were developed being required as a matter of construction if the post-monitoring traffic study finds that those are required. So that sets specific thresholds of where post-monitoring traffic, if that's required, if it meets those thresholds, they come back and provide those reports on a regular basis to the planning board. And if that's triggered, they're then required to implement those improvements. So it's a similar condition to what Market Basket has. They've been working through those mitigation efforts. They've triggered some of them and have been doing, for example, timing of the lights, and they are working towards their mitigation obligations as well. So it was a wealth of discussion at the planning board process around not just the Route 20, but also Lake Street impact. So there's the traffic reports and the peer review studies, and the board took all of that into consideration in their crafting of decisions, of the decision and conditions. So
I have no further questions, madam.
Madam Chairman, I would put one fine point on that.
Sure.
Just in terms of timing. That proposal, the last proposal of we could potentially widen the intersection if we donate some of our land, and you could include that as a potential condition, that was done in the summer of this year, 2025. The last peer review for the town was done in, I believe, March of 2025. So your peer reviewer hasn't looked at that to say, is it feasible? Could we do it? Does it make sense? Is it the best plan that we would have for that intersection? And if you look at the conditions that the planning board put in, number 50 just ties that land to, if the town decides to pursue grant funding, they would have to donate that land as part of it. So it doesn't actually require them to go forward with widening and pay for the widening and participate in it. It's only if the town decides to pursue grant funding.
Yes,
if I
please,
may,
Chris.
so just to go a little bit further into that point, as I think it's probably the major feature of this evening. So in terms of that fourth lane improvements, when the board considered it, they also want to consider impacts that are commensurate with the project that's being proposed. Roadway improvements are a substantial investment. What they found is that these are existing conditions as well, and the board cannot necessarily impose improvements of existing conditions onto an applicant. So they found that, again, having the schematic design that shows two options, some which includes the easement on the applicant's property, some which is a schematic design that would require the town to take takings from other private property. Again, these are expansive processes, so they do show a schematic design, and they are required to support that if the town pursues it. The board felt that they had enough information to show the feasibility that it could be done, not necessarily with little effort or investment, but that it was commensurate with the applicant's project in terms of those impacts. So they're trying to strike a balance between those two. I mean, I can't speak for the board, but that was the discussion that was had.
And let me say, Market Basket would be supportive of a widening of the intersection. Market Basket has contributed a number of funds since it did its development to make that intersection more efficient, more safe. And so this would be a step in the right direction. Our position is the applicant should be required to do that as part of the development, though. Not just that it would be a condition of, well, let's see what happens, maybe.
Any other comments before we move on to public? Okay. All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anybody that wishes to be heard on this matter?
So my name is Donald O'Neill. I'm a lawyer in Worcester, and I'm here on behalf of Yatco Energy. Mostly, I just wanted to say that all of this information was presented to the planning board. They considered it, and they adopted their decision. We had, 8 or 9 meetings that we attended. And we were never asked, nobody ever expected that we would, in fact, redo that intersection. The number of cars that come from anticipated cars that would come from our site is still very small. And there's never any indication that anything that we would do would result in the need for an enlarged intersection or an additional lane. So what they asked us for was just what we gave them. They were happy to get it, so this is what we want. There was never any discussion or any thought that that would be part of the approval for the small number of cars that would come from our location, that would be something which would be imposed upon this development. The situation that's there right now has nothing to do with our project. To try and say that now that's something that we have to correct an existing condition for which we contribute nothing was not something which the planning board was looking or expecting us to do. And it was also pointed out that that type of a improvement, if it were to be made, that would be years in the making. It would require eminent domain takings of other people's property. It would require possibly the relocation of the town pump station. That would be well beyond anything that we could possibly do on our own. And as I say again, what we were asked to come up with the schematic alternatives or ideas. We did that. And there was never any discussion that we would do any more than that. And I think that the board has, with the conditions that they've imposed, made a provision we're going to be monitored for 5 years after operation. We submitted information indicating that the anticipated traffic from our site using Lake Street, the primary access is still Route 20, and this is really a secondary access, or egress, but that the monitoring will still take place. If there is any impact which exceeds what we expect, then we have to deal with it, and that'll be in place for 5 years. So once again, I would just say that this has all been considered, same arguments. There was some discussion about this before the planning board. We went through peer review. We addressed all of the concerns that were raised through peer review. And the board, in rendering the decision, has the backup with the monitoring so that if anything doesn't turn out to be as expected, we're going to have to address it at that time. And we don't feel that there's any need to redesign that intersection fully at this point, based on our contribution, our anticipated contribution to that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, I have a question about the post-monitoring timeline. It was the 5 years for the Yatco project. Does Market Basket same?
Correct.
Time?
Most new projects require 5-year post-occupancy monitoring. That's similar to MassDOT's requirement, so it kind of mirrors that. It requires them to provide that study to the town. But yes, the 5-year is standard now. This has been more expansive than our other conditions. We've added some additional language to the post-occupancy monitoring. It's been a consistent concern of the public, so we've been increasing those conditions where we can.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I respond
Sure.
very briefly to my brother, Mr. O'Neill? One thing he said about potentially widening the intersection. The two concept ideas that the applicant proposed did involve potentially moving the town pumping station, eminent domain takings. After those were presented, Mr. Nagy from VHB created a design, a schematic for the applicant to look at where this widening could occur just with the land that the applicant already owns. So what we're asking for is have them commit to doing that. Use the land that they have and see if they can go forward and commit to the widening just with their land.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishes to be heard on this? Okay. So if we're prepared to move forward with the decision, I'm going to ask someone to close the public hearing, please.
I move to close the public hearing on this matter.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
You want to have a round of
Yes.
commentary first?
Yes, please. You want to start it off?
Sure thing. So reviewing all of the, watching all the planning board meetings, seeing their process, watching how they did what they did and how the applicant has, made efforts to work with the planning board to give them what they need for conditions, having the traffic monitoring in place. All of that does allay some of what the concerns I have are. I was on the board when we initially voted to approve this project and have it go to the planning board for them to actually do the site plan review. I think, and I know my major concern was the traffic from Route 20 to the site, trying to exit back to Route 20 to go eastbound. And like with MassDOT and their assessment, that's not an option. I feel like with the traffic monitoring in place, if there was to become a major issue, that it could be corrected. It sounds like the town has mechanisms to either make that a right-in, right-out, or a entry-only access way, or whatever. So with that, I don't see a lot of need to place all of the burden on the Yatco property, when it is pretty clear to me that there's a ton of traffic in this intersection that is a result of the Market Basket itself, and also the traffic that existed long before Market Basket was there. And so then likewise, I would say that the same consideration that's given to the Market Basket property about the pre-existing traffic condition, that also is due to any other properties in that intersection. And then additionally, I would say that I think that the Yatco property going in there is probably an economic benefit for the Market Basket, but but I don't think that's part of my consideration. But the, I'll wrap this up in a second here. There's a lot of traffic that comes to that intersection from the northern part of town, comes down Quinsignment Avenue, and, you know, is already there before either getting to Route 20 or going to the Market Basket itself. And all in all, I would say that the planning board did their job. They looked at what they needed to look at, and they did so with respect to the bylaws.
Thank you for those comments. Ann?
I agree with what David just said. I'll just add that it is clear that the applicant had sufficient information for the planning board to make their decision. I think the planning board took a look at every angle it could. It evaluated the information and made the right decision, and I don't see any reason to change the decision.
Thank you.
David was very well spoken. I tend to agree after reviewing all of the information, so I don't have any further commentary on it.
Thank you. Fran?
I don't think that we should be getting in the way of the planning board's decision here in this matter. So that, if that's the agreement and understanding that the planning board has, and I support it.
Okay. And I would, I don't want to belabor any of the points that have already been made, but I do think that the 9-month process that the planning board undertook was thoughtful and careful. And I remain less concerned about the impact that Yatco would have on the traffic and more concerned about just traffic on Route 20 generally. You know, the good news is Route 20 used to be just a blighted area, and now we are seeing some economic development, a lot of economic development, which is going to impact traffic. But I really think that the planning board did a very thoughtful, their decision was thoughtful, the conditions were thoughtful. Listening to all the experts talk about, you know, the things that could happen, that there's conditions written into the decision that I think will mitigate that. I also am comforted by the fact that there's post-mitigation in place that will take place over the next 5 years. So to all the points that my fellow board members have made, if there are concerns, it is our hope that we'll be proactive and step in and make sure that there's modifications that are done. So to that point, I also would agree that upholding the planning board's decision is the way I would vote. So I think that we've kind of gotten to a point where if someone is comfortable making a motion, I think we can come to a decision.
I am comfortable making a motion.
Go ahead.
I move that the board, say this, uphold the decision of the planning board with regard to 193 Hartford Turnpike. And the appeal was to construct a gasoline service station with related convenience store, quick service restaurant, and car wash facility. I move to uphold that decision.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Is the agenda for a second? Mine's stuck in. All right. Next on our agenda, this is to hear the appeal of Phil Entwistle, 27 Topsfield Circle, Shrewsbury, Mass., for a special permit to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 4, Table 1, for an in-law apartment upon property located at 27 Topsfield Circle in the Residence A zoning district. The subject premise is described in the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 40, Plot 107000. If you could please state your name for the record. If you would like to have it, typically we have our applicants sit there, but you do whatever you're comfortable with. If we could have you state your name for the record, please, and give us an idea of what you are hoping to accomplish this evening.
Philip Entwistle, and I bought the house for my mother and under the contingency that I would build her her own space in a in-law apartment. I just want to remove the garage and in place of the garage put the addition.
Okay. All right. Give us 1 second just want to find you. All right, do you want to start off, Dave?
Yeah, so you did say that it is a remove and replace, remove the garage, replace it with the in-law apartment?
Correct.
Yep, and it lies within the setbacks for the property?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I have no other questions.
Ann?
So I think the project looks great. I'm just wondering if you considered, instead of an in-law apartment, perhaps constructing a protected use accessory dwelling unit. It's absolutely your choice, but it looks from this project like that might fall into that category.
You just mean so it wouldn't be attached to the house, is that what you mean?
No, it could be attached, it just would mean that it wouldn't, there's no restrictions on who could live in it, and it would survive the next sale of the house.
Gotcha.
Just throwing that out there. Otherwise, I think there's no problem, this looks great.
What would be the difference? What would I have to do differently?
Yeah, you might want to talk to council about that, or town staff.
Okay.
But I have no objection to this in-law apartment.
No comment, within the setbacks and replacing it in place of something that's already there, so I have no issue with this either.
Okay, Fran?
I got a question on the plot plan, just because I see a patio, right? And an existing wood fence.
Yeah.
The patio obviously is encroached, right?
That wood fence is like in the middle of my yard.
So the patio remains.
It would probably, some of it would come up, not much of it.
Well,
Well, there's a back door there, so the back door is gonna stay. So that patio will stay there. That fence is my fence. That fence could get ripped out.
the corner of that patio is way inside the line, right? We all
Yeah.
agree
Oh,
on
yeah.
that. So it's an existing,
No.
It's not a
Reading them.
structure. It's just,
pardon?
it's not a structure, so it doesn't,
Yeah, that's just
it's
like
not
a,
subject to setbacks.
Oh.
Sorry, through the chair.
No, that's,
Yep.
she's right.
Yep.
So if it's not a structure, it's not subject to setbacks, just like a shed.
so a flat slab is not subject to.
Correct.
That's correct.
Thank you,
Yep.
thank you. Sorry,
no, it's okay.
I'm new here.
We're learning as we go.
That's right.
A lot to know, let me tell you.
On the fly here.
Well, no, not really. I mean, so I would just question whether an in-law is the right move versus an ADU. And I'm no means looking, I think this is fine, and I think you're going to get an easy approval this evening. I just
Okay.
want to make sure you understand the positives to an ADU. Perhaps Chris could just quickly give us we're going to see a lot of ADUs and in-laws coming our way, so this is a good lesson.
Yeah, it's a good point, as people are looking into this more, just to note. So one of the differences, and we'll probably be putting out some informational kind of stuff related to this, because we do get frequent questions. The difference between ADU and in-law apartment, obviously there's the familial requirements or restrictions on an in-law apartment. The ADU gives you more flexibility in terms of the overall use of that. There is something to note. There is a difference in building code, which I am not a building inspector. I can't really speak to, but in terms of the fire separation, so you do have to beef up the fire separation. But by doing that minor adjustment, especially when you're in new construction, it gives you greater flexibility. So just when you're thinking about 10, 20, 30 years down the road, when you may sell the house, for whatever reason, having that additional flexibility is, potentially beneficial. So we just putting that information out there for residents, to make their kind of determination at this stage, so.
So I don't know where you're at in your construction plans and whether timing's an important concern. One thing that you might want to consider is we could continue your hearing, you could do more information gathering, and you could come back next month, or you could ask us to vote on it this evening. It's really up to you.
Yeah, I would just probably keep it the way it is.
Okay, so you're comfortable with the in-law?
yeah.
Okay. I have no concerns at all, is it being an in-law, so.
Okay.
All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I move to close the public hearing.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the application of Phil Entwistle for 27 Topsfield Circle, Residence A District, for a special permit for Section 6, Table 1, for an in-law apartment.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Merry Christmas.
Okay, next is to hear the appeal of Julianne Lamy, 96 Hosmer Street, West Boylston, for a special permit to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 4, Table 1, for an in-law apartment upon property located at 28 Hunter Circle in the Residence B1 zoning district. Subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 11, Plot 139000. Welcome, if you could state your name for the record, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Julianne Lamy. I work for Santa Mar Contracting. We've been contracted by the homeowner, Alice Bullock, and she is the one that will be occupying the in-law apartment if we get approval.
So could you tell us about the project in general?
So Alice purchased the property back in July of this year with the sole purpose of her daughter and son-in-law living in the main primary residence, and she would have a dedicated in-law apartment so she can spend time with her family. She used to live in New Jersey, so she was coming up to Shrewsbury to live with her family. So the addition that we're building, so let me reverse a little bit. We were contracted to renovate the home and do the addition for the in-law apartment. We renovated the main home. Alice's daughter and son-in-law moved in around Thanksgiving. So Alice is in this waiting period to move into her portion of it, which is the addition that's gonna be behind the garage. They have a two-car garage, and the addition will be behind that. So there won't be any visually impacts from the street. You wouldn't be able to really tell anything's really there. It's roughly a 722 square foot in-law suite. Future plans for that, once Alice is no longer occupying that space, her daughter and son-in-law plan to turn it into a master primary bedroom suite. They did, consider the ADU portion of it, but very briefly, they're not interested in renting or anything in the future. This is solely for Alice Bullock to be with her. This bylaw has been made for them, to be honest.
Okay. Great. Questions, comments?
First one I have is just, it seems like there's a lot of waiver requests for this. It's not really, I think anything that's gonna hang me up on it, but, I just didn't, I did see that and thought it was a little bit unusual.
I saw that as well, and I'm not sure where those even came from.
Okay,
I didn't request them specifically.
okay. But the addition, or the in-law apartment, I mean, it lies fully within the setbacks of the
Oh.
property?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And, yeah, and it's occupying a new space, yeah.
Yeah, so
Chris?
just to speak to the waiver request, so that's part of, typically what we'll do is we'll review them. A lot of these, projects that are kind of a smaller engineering standard, aren't really expected to meet the overall slate of ZBA requirements. So when we kind of do our comment letters and notice that there's some deficiencies, we'll submit those. So that, procedurally, we see that, the plans are not necessarily, up to that specific standard. The board can choose to grant those waivers. Again, our staff sees no issues with what was provided. There's sufficient information in our opinion.
Okay,
Thank you for the
Thank you.
clarification. Yeah, I have no issues.
great. Ann?
I think it looks like a great project, meets all the setbacks. I think it's fine, I have no problem with it.
Thank you.
I'll echo that, I'm the same, no comment.
Fran?
The conditions of occupancy related all would be part of the permit as the planning department has suggested.
If we,
Occupied by the individuals who are legally related, and the rights authorized by this special permit shall be limited to to Alex Bullock.
so it would sunset with her.
Those would be incorporated, I wouldn't object to this. I'm okay.
Yeah, so those are standard conditions for all in-law apartments. So again, as we talked about, you know, the flexibility between ADUs and in-law apartments. All in-law apartments in Shrewsbury require that the occupant be by, what was it, consanguinity or affinity are the two legal terms, I believe, but blood or marriage tied to the occupant. And that at the end of their occupancy of that, those rights established to the in-law sunset, so they're no longer eligible. A new homeowner who wishes to exercise that use of that space would have to come back before this board and ask for a in-law apartment.
Okay, all right. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Sir, if you could step forward to the microphone, and we'll need your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Philip Leader. I live at 12 Dartmoor Drive, which is the direct abutter of this property. The side yard that it's been mentioned is directly abuts my backyard. And there's an existing fence between the two properties, more a decorative fence than I call it a decorative fence. It doesn't have much function except to separate the properties. I came here tonight not so much to object, and I don't object, but I'm concerned about the space between the in-law apartment and the lot line, which of course is the setback. And I haven't seen a plan yet. I came here tonight to see a plan, but the speaker wasn't here until just now, and I've been here since 5:45, and the owner doesn't have a plan with her either. I think we would like to know, my wife certainly, and I would like to know. We live by ourselves. Our children are gone. We've lived there for 36 years, and the seller of the house, who recently sold it to the present owner, was there long before we were there, so it's kind of a stable corner. Someone mentioned that the side yard is barely visible from the street. That may be so, but it's quite visible from my backyard.
Mhm.
And I'm just concerned about, and I would like to gather some information about just how much of an encroachment there is in the backyard, and if it's within the.
So we're, I think, working on,
Yeah, let me,
we're working on trying to get the plan up on the screen so that you can put
Yeah.
some eyes on it.
Yeah,
Just for clarity, sir, your backyard is on his western property line, his,
that's correct.
okay.
If you're looking at the street, it'd be on the right-hand side. From his,
On Hunter Circle,
He's on Dartmoor.
Dartmoor goes
Dartmoor.
this way, Hunter goes off to
this
the
is,
right.
he's here, the western side.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And that's your backyard,
that's my backyard, yes.
so your house is out that way somewhere.
Yeah, it's toward, yes,
All
right. It's
That's all.
more sideways.
Where you were, sir.
Through the chair.
Sure.
I think the plot plan will show up on the screen pretty soon, but I think the only relief they're requesting is on the side yard setback, if I'm not mistaken. The shortest distance is 24.8 feet, where the side yard setback is 10 feet
Required.
required. So
He's way beyond
he's
that.
got, they have plenty
Well,
of.
if you went out and looked at it, you wouldn't think so.
What, I live in the neighborhood too, so, but
isn't-
in any event,
Isn't even
you don't
close
need
to
any
that.
relief.
It's less than the distance between this line in the middle and that desk over there. A lot less, half the distance.
That's not reflective on the plans that we have.
Well, the plans and the, well, it's already built, by the way, you know, the foundation is in. It's poured concrete, so it's quite
Right.
measurable.
Right.
And there's an existing fence, so it's easy to judge. And the fence was put up by previous owners, so
Turn around,
Here
sir.
you go,
Look at
Attorney
that.
Leader,
Yeah,
it's
good.
right there.
I've been trying to get it.
We are in the process of getting an
can
as-built
push it.
as
Go ahead.
well. I
You can
should have
see it.
that by Friday or Monday at the latest.
We're good
This
here.
is my house here.
Yeah.
Now, this right here,
Yeah,
that is no more 24 feet than,
but that's what the surveyor plotted on
well,
the
he may
plans.
have done that,
Through the
but
chair.
it isn't on the ground, it isn't 24 feet. That's what counts.
Many times I've noticed in my past experience, sir, that a lot of times fences aren't put on the correct property line. It doesn't necessarily represent where the property line
Well,
is.
that's not true here. The fence was put up by the previous owner
Yes.
for, I don't know why, but he was a nice guy, but he was finicky about his property, and I
Sure.
wasn't going on his property, but he wanted to
Through
put
the
up a
chair,
fence.
please.
Sure.
I think we had a measured survey done. There's the property line. I understand your concern as an abutter, certainly. I just also, we have to make a determination on what's in front of us. It's not a question of what it might look like from your backyard, but more what we see on paper.
Yes, all right. I suggest that a personal observation of 24 feet is at least as good as a measured observation. It isn't 24 feet. And how do we know it's 24 feet? What would
There's
that
a
come,
measured
was
survey
that by a
done.
measurement?
We have a measured survey
Yeah,
done.
well, measured by a surveyor?
Yes. It's stamped by a surveyor. Right there.
And that's from here, from the proposed addition. But this is the garage right here.
Correct.
It says 24 feet.
Right.
What's that say? 33 or something?
27.9 feet.
27? I don't have my glasses.
27.9,
Yep.
where 10 is required.
Well, I would ask that that be done again, the survey be done again. If it's right, it's right. But I wouldn't be here if I wouldn't object to 24 feet. For that, the distance, that's 24 feet. It's not even close to that. I think it should be measured again if I might request that.
The surveyor is gonna come out, sir, and verify that that's the correct measurement. I requested that this morning, and I should get something back either Friday or Monday, and the building department will have a copy of that.
Could somebody talk to me about it? Or let me know when he comes? Can you do that?
I
The chair.
don't know when he's gonna come.
Okay, through the chair.
Yeah,
So
I-
I would,
Sorry.
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
I would say, you have every right to go into the building department and ask all of these questions. They were
Of
more
course,
than
I
happy to help you.
understand that.
And we have
Well,
enough information in our, I mean, we've looked at these plans, we've looked at what is in front of us to weigh in on, and I, for one, can say I'm comfortable with the project. I don't understand, now, so what I don't understand is how it can be already built when you're here in
Yeah,
front
well,
of us.
that's
It's
my
not
other
already
question.
built. The foundation has been put in. We got the okay from the building department to put in the foundation. We are not going further.
Okay, okay.
Until-
Well, the foundation is poured concrete, and it's 5 feet thick. So, I mean, it's there, it's not going anywhere just because we say it's wrong.
If we didn't approve this, they'd have to cap it and just leave it there, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
Chris?
So maybe to put a finer point on that and the issuance of the foundation, just to be clear, as provided with the plans that are given to the board this evening, the applicant is allowed, permitted by right to build this addition on their home. The ask here is for a special permit to use that addition as an in-law apartment. So, should the board vote against the special permit, for example, and deny the right of the use, the applicant would still be able to construct the addition as designed. They simply would not be able to use it for an in-law permitted use. So the structure itself, meeting the setbacks, the building department issued the building permit for that, understanding that the use would then be established prior to any occupancy of it.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
What is the required setback?
10 feet.
10 feet, 24.9.
Well, it says 24.9 on the plan, you know, I agree with that. But I don't think it's 10 feet at all.
Well, with all due respect, it's a stamped survey, a measured survey, and to Chris's point, that is by right what they're building.
Oh, I heard what he said, I don't disagree with what he said.
Right. So the question that we have to vote on is whether to approve an in-law use.
Well, I'd ask the board to delay it for a week or so, to look into the issue of whether the side yard requirement has been complied with. Well, what is the requirement? What did the requirement of the side yard, what did they impose upon it?
So
10 feet?
So the requirement, the minimum setback in this zoning district, the Residence B1 zoning district, is 10 feet.
Yeah.
The existing structure is 24 feet and 8/10 feet from the property boundary. And the proposed addition would be 27 and 9/10 feet. So well over twice the required setback minimum in both cases, existing and proposed.
But those measurements are taken from the plans.
So the measurements as provided by a professional survey are on the plans that
Yeah,
are
okay.
up on the
I
board
get
this
it.
evening, and then,
Right.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to speak with the contractor and find out when they're gonna be there to confirm the setbacks.
Okay. Is there any other questions, comments?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay. Can I get a
Move to
motion
close
to?
the public hearing on the matter.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the appeal of Julian Lammy, 28 Hunter Circle, Residence B1 District, for a special permit to Section 4, Table 1, for an in-law apartment.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next hearing, this is to hear the appeal of Heather Dutko for 5 variances to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 7E 2A and Section 7E 5A, to install 3 ground signs to exceed maximum square footage and to be closer to the lot line than 1/2 the depth of the required setback upon property located at 222, 224 Boston Turnpike in the limited business zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 32, Plot 411000. Welcome. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Sure, good evening. My name is Heather Dudko, 27 Old Meeting House Road in Auburn, Mass. And I am a sign permit consultant working with AGI, who's the sign manufacturer, and National Sign, who will be the sign installer for citizens at this site. So the request before the board tonight is to install 3 ground signs, which 3 of them will exceed the code allowance for the setback, and 2 exceed code allowance for square footage. So specifically, the S1 pylon sign is proposed on the Boston Turnpike elevation at 50 square feet, where 20 is allowed, and at a 2-foot setback where 7.5 is required. The S8 monument sign is on the Svensson Road elevation. That's proposed at 32.5 square foot, which is again over the 20 square foot allowed, and proposed at a 5-foot setback where 7.5 is required. The third proposed sign is S9, that's a directional nature sign. That's proposed at 4.5 square foot, which meets the square footage, but only proposed at a 2-foot setback, which does not meet the 7.5 setback. As you know, this is a new space, a new tenant, where the emergency clinic was before that. I just drove by there, in no way ready to be open yet. But they have permitted their wall signs already by right. They will have 4 wall signs on the building, and those have been permitted by right. There will be no drive-through at this location, but there will be access to the ATM inside. And they have the standard business hours of a branch location, so it's not like a 24-hour operation there. So that's the request before the board. We did provide some information in the application on the variance criteria with the hardship. I don't know if you want me to review that, or if you've had a chance to read that.
If you want to add color to it, it might help us.
I probably would just read it.
We have it, yeah.
Okay,
We have it in front of us.
okay. So that's what they've asked me to present before the board.
Okay. Thank you for that. Dave, you want to start?
Sure. First, for Chris, town staff, this site lies within the Lakeway Overlay District.
It does.
Does the, refresh my memory, does the Lakeway Overlay District language in the bylaws provide any, not special treatment, but like different criteria for signage or anything to that theme?
So it could also include additional restrictions on signs. The overall site was permitted under the commercial business district, and so that's the regular signage requirements are what they are beholden to. So if they had redone the project under Lakeway Overlay, that's where it brings in other kind of landscaping requirements, but the way we have that structured, it's pick one or the other. You can't mix and match.
Okay,
So.
got it. I did find that the, I think we have some of them on the screen here, the proposed plans where you gave kind of a visual representation of what these signs you're seeking relief for are gonna look like. Given what those mock-ups look like, everything is fine. I live not too far from there. I drive that intersection almost every day. And I don't see any visual problems with it, or aesthetic problems.
Okay.
Ann?
Just a quick question. Some of the diagrams show an ATM, but that's gonna be on the inside, right?
Correct.
It's not the outside?
Correct.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
In reviewing this, it seems like you're proposing to put signs where there are at least some version of an existing sign already, correct?
For the ground signs? I'm not 100% sure it was there for a ground sign before, but I do think maybe the one just on Boston Turnpike, but I don't believe there was a ground sign on the side elevation before.
Okay. I'm seeing some examples of directional signage in the proposal, but I tend to agree with David. I don't think that these are causing any visual issues. So,
And there is only that one entrance on Swenson Road.
right.
There's no access on Boston Turnpike to
Right,
the
right.
building.
I think I'm good for now.
Okay. Yep. Fran?
I have a question. I guess can we go to the plan, wherever that is, Chris?
Yep. Is
Plot
there-
plan?
This one?
So S1 is the vertical sign on the stanchion and S2 is the one on the building?
Correct.
Correct.
Why can't there be an S2 on the building facing east rather than the stanchion? It says Citizens Bank in big letters. Can you go to an elevation?
Oh, on the east side? Yeah.
Not that, yeah, not that one though.
So on the east elevation, there was no wall signage proposed, maybe because the visibility,
Well,
where
wait.
the building is next to it, you
Get the
wouldn't
right
see the wall
elevation.
signage.
There you go. Madam, may I get up and point?
Yeah, yep. So you're correct, there is no wall signage proposed on that side elevation, right?
I'm suggesting one up on the building.
There is one on that elevation.
I see that, but this is an angle in that this faces east, that faces north.
Right.
So why can't on the east facing up here,
Mhm.
put Citizens Bank? Why do we need to have a stanchion here?
My my assumption would be that the visibility would not, it wouldn't be visible, a wall sign, as visible as the ground sign.
I'd rather you have one on the roof than down here.
No roof signs allowed.
Berkshire Bank has one on the roof. That's all, madam. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. All right, Chris, anything else we need to think about before we, okay, all right. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Nay.
I would just, I would comment, you know, we've got bank after bank after bank after bank after bank, and I think that what Citizens is attempting to do is just differentiate themselves so that there is, you know, no question that you would be going into Berkshire Bank or Bank of America, and I understand that. You know, I remember when you were in front of us at the last meeting, when we gave you relief on your parking, and my thoughts on the parking was, if you think you can run a viable business with less parking, then I'm good with that. In terms of the signs, they're tasteful. I think they're in appropriate places. The concern that I had, and I think I have an answer to it, but just in terms of traffic, like whether it's going to be in the way of any traffic, but I have been assured by our building department that that has been considered and not the case. So all in all, I don't have an issue at all with any of these. I think they're well done. But I'll leave it up to the board to come up with a determination on how they feel. So if I could get a motion, please.
Madam, before we have a motion, may I?
Yes, absolutely.
Can we approve part of this and not part of this?
You don't
There's
have,
5 signs here.
correct. There's five
5 variants,
variances.
3 signs.
Yeah.
Correct.
The stanchion sign out in the front, I don't like it. I'd
Okay.
approve all the rest of them, but
Okay. So we can take
I'd
each
rather
one
see that be
individual.
on the building.
Okay, we can take a, we can, you don't have to vote in favor of it. You can,
The whole, but it's an all or nothing, isn't it?
So the way we have the vote sheet structured currently is for all of them, but we can take it individually, all 5 variances. We'll just specify which sign that we're on for each of them, so, but I'm happy to kind of,
yeah, you're gonna have to guide us on making sure we do this the right way procedurally.
yes.
Madam
May I ask a
Chair,
question? Do I need a unanimous vote?
No.
Do
No.
They need, what's the voting,
Supermajority.
Super.
supermajority? Okay.
Madam Chair, can we have a discussion before we
Absolutely.
vote? Okay.
Absolutely.
And I'll just defer to David if he wants to
Dave.
say anything first, and then I'll.
Yeah. So one of the first things I'll say is that when it comes to, in general, all the relief that you're seeking for the signs for the location variance, where you need 7.5 feet, you are requesting less. It appears that, you know, due to the size of the lot, the shape of the lot, the location of the existing structure and the current sidewalk, it seems that you've made an appropriate and reasonable decision for the location of them, and especially hearing that the building department has assured of no visibility issues for traffic and whatnot. I have no trouble with any of the signs. The proposed pylon sign, I don't find offensive either.
Ann?
I agree with David, and I would also argue that the pylon sign or the stanchion is necessary, because as you come down that intersection, it's not very, the signs on the building as it is now are not very visible. It looks like about the same size is going to replace, the Citizens is going to replace the Reliant. So I would say that the stanchion is acceptable, and it's not detrimental, and I would argue it's also necessary.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The pylon gave me a little bit of pause, but seeing it cited with the building, where it's placed and everything, and again, hearing that the building department had no issues with visibility on the roadway, I'm comfortable with it myself.
Okay. Any further comments, Fran? I think
I have no further comment.
okay, so we're gonna break this up into 5, at 5 times.
So, and I think
4 and 1.
We can do 4 and 1.
if the board,
We- we
yeah,
do
if the
4 and
board is
1.
amenable, I think we can do 4 votes. So, what I'd recommend is we can start with S1, which is the stanchion sign, and vote those separately. So 1 vote on the setbacks, which I believe is the piece at issue, 1 vote on, the size variance. And then we can do, a vote, for each of those signs cumulatively for both. So essentially, size setback, for S1, and then, S9 would be the second one, so 1 vote together for size and setback, and then similar for S8, size and setback, so that'd be 4 votes.
You got that?
I think so.
Okay. Can we get a motion, please?
I move that we approve the appeal of Heather Dudko for 1 variance to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaw, Section 7E2A and Section 7E5A, to install 1 ground size referenced as S1 in the plans, to exceed maximum square footage and be closer to the lot line than 1/2 the depth of the required setback upon the property located at 222-224 Boston Turnpike in the limited business zoning district. And the subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 32, Plot 411000.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. No, I'm not opposed, aye.
Okay. All right, so moved.
I will now move,
So, well done. So that does S1 for, actually for both, so if you just do that, repeated, and you just reference S9 and S8. So we'll split that out as 2 votes separately, so S1 would be.
okay, and this vote will be for 9 and 8 collectively?
Correct,
And that, okay, great.
all remaining.
I move to approve the appeal of Heather Dudko for 3 variances or 2 variances?
3.
3.
3 variances to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaw, Section 7E2A and Section 7E5A, to install 2 ground signs to exceed the maximum square footage and be closer to the lot line than 1/2 the depth of the required setback upon property located at 222-224 Boston Turnpike in the limited business zoning district. The subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 32, Plot 411000.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in,
Is that number S, now which ones are we doing here?
S9 and
What?
S8. S9 and S8.
Just S9.
Both, S9
S8.
and S8, yeah.
I got no problem, okay,
okay,
thank
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay. Chris, I just want to say, we're going to have to fix
Yeah,
that.
we'll have
Yep.
a DocuSign tomorrow.
Yes, great. All right, next is to hear the appeal of James Tetrault, 1118 Turnpike Road, Suite 200 in Southborough, for a special permit to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 6, Table 1, for an in-law apartment upon property located at 24 Arch Street in the Rural A zoning district. Subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 44, Plot 020003. Welcome. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Sure. Madam Chair, I'm James Tatro from Expedited Engineering. I'm not actually the applicant or the party in question. You give me very much too much credit there. I'm
Well,
only the engineer.
okay.
I'm here representing James Walsh, owner, and here with us also is his father-in-law, Ron Dennis, who would be the applicant of the proposed in-law apartment.
Welcome.
The property is 24 Arch Street. It's on the westerly side of Arch Street, which is over in the southeast corner of the town. It's a lot about 30-odd years old. I was part of Thompson List and Associates when this lot was first surveyed and when the septic system was installed. And the Walshes are, I believe, the second owner there. They're looking to install a in-law apartment off the back right corner as viewed from the, back left corner as viewed from the road of that existing house. The proposed in-law apartment would still meet all of the required setbacks. Had a zoning compliance table on the lower left corner of the site plan sheet. We also submitted plans of the 2 stories of the proposed addition with our filing. I would note, as I think came up in one of the previous in-law apartment filings, we asked for waivers from a bunch of the different impacts, which are really, the traffic impacts, et cetera, community and fiscal impacts, which really aren't so germane to a project of this scope, officially to ask for them, but that's, as was part of the filing as well. Again, I would just note, I think we're not asking for any variances dimensionally. We're not asking, we're only asking for those waivers of impact, which aren't really appropriate for, perhaps for this filing. And we'll try and answer any questions. As I say, plans from Shane Structures of the 2 floors of the addition were submitted with the filing.
Thank you. Dave, you want to start out?
Sure. As you said, it appears to be cited within the setbacks in the law apartment. I have no comments or questions.
Ann?
So I'll just note that it looks like it's within the setbacks. It's also within the limits for protected use accessory dwelling unit, so just throwing that out there. But other than that, I think that it's a great project, and I don't have any problem with it.
I also have no comments. This
No
looks
comment.
good to me.
And Madam Chair, I would just note one other thing there. If you look at the plan, in the backyard, you see noted the location of the existing septic system. We already consulted with the Board of Health and the Board of Health agent as to, okay, this system was designed for 4 bedrooms. In order to have it serve 1 extra bedroom, what do we need to do? We worked out what is going to be done there. We're actually going to make that system just very slightly larger.
Okay, great. Thank you for that information. And thank you for the packet of information you provide. It's really very helpful in our decision-making. I don't have any further comments. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on the matter? Hey, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
I move to close the public hearing.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the appeal for 24 Arch Street, which is located in a rural A zoning district, for a special permit to section 6, table 1, for an in-law apartment.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Rebuilding.
time.
Okay, next appeal. This is to hear the appeal of Samantha Orman, 101 Grove Street, Shrewsbury, for 2 variances to the Shrewsbury zoning bylaws, Section 7, Table 2, to construct an accessory dwelling unit 10 feet from the side yard setback where 20 feet is required, the 12 feet for the rear yard setback where 40 feet is required upon property located at 101 Grove Street in the Residence A zoning district. Subject premise is described on the Shrewsbury Assessor's Tax Plate 46, Plat 084000. Welcome. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Samantha Ormond.
Oh, and you can proceed and tell us about your,
Okay, so we're looking, so 101 Grove Street, Shrewsbury. What we're looking to do is, as I know you've all seen the plot plan, we have a garage that's already there. We're looking to take that down, put an accessory dwelling unit, garage on the bottom, ADU on the top, in line with the means of egress for right with the driveway, to move my 85-year-old father-in-law in from his independent home in Shrewsbury as well. Looking to place it in, so with the setbacks of 10 feet off the side where 20 is required, 12 feet off the rear where 40 is required.
My name's Josh Gabboys. I'm the contractor they're working with for the build, so just thought I'd state my name.
great.
Yeah.
We might have questions for you.
Okay.
Okay, anything else?
The only thing that I did not provide was I did get in touch with the fire department to just discuss the means of egress with them as far as safety concerns go for moving this to where it is. In their email, they said there was no concerns and that it met, their requirements. I just didn't have a chance to upload that as well, but I do have it here if need be.
Thank you. Okay, Dave, you want to start out?
Sure. So you are requesting variances to place it within the side and rear yard setbacks, correct?
Yes.
and you're removing a garage that previously existed
Yes,
inside of the setback, like not in the
Yes.
setbacks, but within the boundaries.
yes.
Can you talk me through the decision to remove the garage and then place a new garage with an ADU above it in a separate location? You know, just kind of walk me through what's going on there.
Sure. Basically, in order to just promote the right, so ideally, right, we have this very long driveway. Placing this garage at the end makes more sense for, my
It's just more
father-in-law
functional.
to go in and out rather than having him turn his car into the driveway and then get into the ADU. This will allow for him for accessibility in and out of that yard to be more easy and functional. Additionally, with the ADU, right, I know that, as you guys have talked about tonight, zoning it as an in-law versus an ADU was a debate that we had, and it makes sense for the long-term range plan of the house to have it be an ADU for selling purposes down the road, or if we move and say, you know what, we're moving, that can be zoned as the ADU permanently rather than an in-law, because, right, we could have done a lot of different things, but it makes the most sense to have it placed right there where he can come and go and maintain his independence, which is a huge factor, right? So he lives independently now. Being 85, obviously, he's having, we're making this decision for a variety of reasons, and so having him be able to maintain his functional ability in an independent living situation, including being able to come and go easily, was very important for us.
Okay. Question for Chris, just to refresh my memory on ADUs. This is the ADU portion of this part of the request of the applicant, or is the ADU by right? Like, if it wasn't in the setbacks, would they just be able to do it?
Right, so the ADU is by right, the variance for the setbacks of the structure are before the board.
Okay. Just want to make sure I was clear on that. I'm interested to see what the rest of the board has to say, and especially if there are any neighbors or abutters in the audience. I'm cautious about placing an ADU inside of setbacks, as they are, they're fresh to the town. I know a town meeting recently adopted allowing them. So like I said, I'm interested in what everyone has to say.
Ann?
So, what's the square footage of this ADU? Is it less than 900?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna land under 900 square feet.
So, it's more of a statement than a question. I think that this ADU is a protected use ADU. I don't think it has any business being in front of the zoning board. If I'm not mistaken, I know that the least restrictive dimensional setbacks have to be applied to a protected use ADU under 760 CMR 71. It's my understanding that the shortest distance on this is 10 feet, and if I'm looking at the tables correctly, the shortest distance that are required for any structure in Shrewsbury are 10 feet. If I'm not mistaken about that, then I think this just needs to be granted as of right, and we don't have any business weighing in on it.
Chris, you want to add some color to that?
Yeah, I'd have to look, so there's the setbacks. I'm not as familiar with the CMR.
I'll get it and read it. Yep, you can talk, let me just grab it.
Want to make sure I'm
Yep,
understanding that.
sorry, I should have it memorized, but I don't.
It's a lot to memorize, Ann.
Well,
Be kind to yourself.
Have a memory.
all right, sorry. Let's see. It is,
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
may I ask a question of the applicant?
Yes, please.
Help me understand why we're not putting the new addition where the old garage is.
Sure, is it
Yeah,
okay to
you
get up and
go
come over
right
here?
along.
So, right, so the garage is in line with the house, the driveway is here.
Yeah,
Where it is here will allow, and basically just considering my father-in-law's the biggest thing, he'll pull straight into the driveway with the garage bays literally here. He'll pull in, he'll get on his chairlift, and he'll go up to the second floor where he would live.
I see.
Yeah, so it's a little, right, so you can't see it here, but this looks like this structure, which will be coming to you next month for, is in line. However, there's a driveway there that is not, so it's here.
So you're saying the driveway comes in here?
Yeah.
Past the pergola,
Yes.
right?
Right.
Yes.
And
He's gonna go straight into the garage.
straight into this garage.
Yes.
Now, what, if you take this and turn it, you can't do that, huh?
Ideally, I want him to be able to not turn if he doesn't have to.
Turn the car.
Turn the car right in the garage and out. You
Can I
know.
al- can I also
Or that's a
comment?
whole nother problem.
In a minute.
Sure.
Anything else, Fran?
I'd like to see that changed, but
Okay,
I don't think I think the setbacks are too tight.
looks like we have an additional comment.
Just want to add that when we first came to scope the property, there is a lack of visibility coming up the driveway. So that is part of the reason of some of Samantha's concerns is when you're coming up for her father to have to turn in, it's a little bit, the house is close to the driveway, so I can see why someone who's elderly may have a problem handling that, so.
Ann?
I just want to weigh in. I found the answer to my question. So EOHLC has issued FAQs, answers to FAQs interpreting the regs. And the FAQ that applies here is, can a city or town impose dimensional standards such as setback requirements for an ADU? And it says yes, but omitting a lot here, it has to be the most permissive standards required for the principal dwelling or a single-family residential dwelling or an accessory structure in the district where the ADU is intended to be located. So that's where I'm getting the 10 feet minimum, and I think that's the only thing that can be imposed, and that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I also looked up, so the 760 CMR 71 B2 dimensional standards, so it's any requirement concerning dimensional standards such as dimensional setbacks, lot coverage, open space, bulk, and height and number of stories that are more restrictive than is required for the principal dwelling or a single-family residential dwelling or accessory structure in the zoning district in which protected use ADU is located, whichever results in more permissive regulation, provided that a municipality may not require a minimum lot size for a protected use ADU. So in this case, the accessory structures under 200 square feet are allowed the 10-foot, but I would say that because it says accessory structures and principal dwellings, that we would be the exceeds 200 square foot, so the normal setbacks do apply in this case.
Okay, I respectfully disagree, but,
Well, I mean, this is an important,
Yeah,
this is
important.
This is gonna keep coming in front of us, and I would prefer us to continue a hearing and get more information if we feel that we need to do that, rather than make a mistake, to Dave's point, and start off on the wrong foot with all of the ADUs,
Yeah.
in-laws that are coming in front of us. My instinct is to request that the board continue the hearing and we get more information over the next month. And I'm sorry to do this, but I'm not speaking for the board, I'm just giving you my opinion. I think that we want to get this right, and in order to get it right, we need more information. So, anything else?
I would just say that I concur with what you just said. I think it would be wise for us to really have an accurate and correct decision on what Ann is talking about and what the statute truly indicates what our bounds of authority are.
Yeah, I think that's the right
My only,
request.
my only concern would be, I truly believe it's not properly in front of us, and it could be unfair to the applicant to string them along for an
So
extra
that's,
So,
Yeah.
and so to that point, if the board is amenable to the proposal, they may wish to go ahead and grant the variances. We'll still answer this question. I'm happy to provide an update to the board after reviewing it, because I agree it's something, this is all very new, and we'll be
It is.
reviewing it all, I'm sure. I'm happy to kind of get some interpretation and feedback, and provide that feedback to the board, but unless I would say if the board is looking to deny this permit, we may wish to get further clarification, but an approval would not provide any hindrance to the applicant.
I have a question. If, as Ann, you're presenting it, if the least restrictive of the requirements is how the law is to be interpreted, if we were to continue it, then it was found out that they were allowed to do it by right, would they just not have to come back at all?
I could request a withdrawal without prejudice.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
simply,
That would be the,
So we could in theory, we could continue it, and then the understanding could be resolved, and then if it is by right, then it just happens, and then we get a withdrawal, or if it's the other way, then we would see them again.
yep.
so are you following our process? So if we,
I'll be happy to explain it.
okay, let Chris do this. This is his job. All right,
Yeah,
go ahead, Chris.
So, what I think we're leaning towards is continuing this hearing. I will get an interpretation, a legal interpretation in regards to the 760 CMR regulations in relation to our local bylaws in terms of the setbacks. If we've sent you here and are not permitted to send you here to this board, that interpretation will allow you just to proceed as normal without coming back to the board. But if you do need the variances, then you'll have to come back at that next meeting, and the board will render their decision at that time.
Does that automatically get placed on the January meeting agenda? Okay, so it doesn't get pushed any further out than that, potentially, just because we are looking at, it's
Yep.
moving him as quickly as possible, and if this isn't gonna work, then I do need to we need to consider other options, so, I don't wanna delay too long if we can avoid that. Time sensitive, sort of, so.
Should we assess whether we're all in favor? Or whether
Yeah,
the
let's
vote would
run up the
pass to
flagpole. I mean,
save
would
them the
you-
time?
I mean, I do have concerns with what you just raised. And you have to understand, we have to operate under, what we believe is the right thing to do, but then the principles of, the law have to apply as well. So I have concerns about it. I do. Dave?
Yeah, I have concerns about placing an ADU in a setback. And so I would really like to have resolution with how the statute reads and is truly understood before moving forward on something. That's why I am in favor of a continuation. For your case, I hope that Ann's interpretation is correct.
Right.
And I hope that you can get your family where you want them to be. And I just, as I stated earlier, I just have, ADUs are new, and I just want to make sure that we're doing everything the right way, and that we're not, per se, giving up too much too quick.
I agree with that.
Fran?
Yeah, I still don't understand. I respect to your father that you don't want him to make a turn to go into his driveway or garages. If he drives on the street, he's got to make turns. And here he's creeping along at 10 mile an hour or something like that. So I'd like to see that setback mitigated by moving it to where the garage is now.
Well, it might not be an issue. If we continue it and there's some work that gets done through planning, then we're good.
Oh, yes,
All right, can I entertain a motion to continue the hearing?
yes, I would make a motion to continue the hearing in the matter of.
Date specific.
Did we do public comment?
No, we did not. I apologize. Let's do public, I apologize. Sorry. It's gonna be a long evening. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Please step forward. Thank you for reminding me, Chris. If you could step forward and state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Balakarthikasula. I'm resident at 103 Grove Street. So which is right behind here. So the front yard is here.
You're on Grove Street, so you're next
Yeah, yeah.
to the house.
So right here. So this
Yeah.
is the driveway and this is where,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yep.
so just want to make sure that, we are maintaining all the laws that are needed. If it is needed to be a 40 feet, I just want to make sure we are maintaining that.
That's his driveway there next to it.
Right.
And then that's your
So-
house behind to
here
the
is the
south.
house.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah,
It's a flag lot. Okay.
I hear what he's saying.
Yep, we understand.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Our concern also, or mine.
J.D. Gunnett, 43 LeBlanc Road, also a town meeting member. I've sat in on many of the ADU meetings between planning board, town meeting. I've done a lot of research. I watched the Patty Sheehan's, the whole presentation that she did on them. I was under the assumption that we would be going through a lot of review for these and that variance would be not as easy to get as we're seemingly giving them out here tonight. I disagree with Ann here that I don't quite understand the least of the, I'm not quite sure, I'm sorry, it's hard to hear back here, the term. They only have 12 feet, where 40 feet in this gentleman's backyard. Can I ask, through the chair, can I ask a question? So when we're making decisions like this, can these decisions be used for future projects? So say at the next meeting, we have another ADU, and that person says, well, you let these people put one 12 feet from this person's property line, so now I expect you to do the same for me.
So, I mean, I think I can answer that.
Yeah, so I mean, it goes to the question of precedent. This board has long, stood that each application stands on its own. That said, if the board shows a history of granting certain things, an extended history in recently having done so, there are some legal implications to that someone could, they're not entitled to it, but they could then appeal on those grounds that the board is unrightfully withholding a permit that they're granting to other people. But again, each application stands on its own, so it would be especially with the first one, it would be challenging to establish that timeline in this case. But I think that speaks to the board's willingness to review this in terms of setting any precedent or any indication of precedent.
I think that's essentially why we're doing what we're doing, just so that, and thank you for always being involved in being up to date on all the new things that are happening in town, because the ADU is here to stay, as we know. But there's still some rough edges around it that we're really trying to understand and make sure that we make the rulings that are based on the law, not just,
That's why I think it's really important for us to get the first case right. And I don't think putting one 12 feet when we expect it to be 40 feet, just popping them in backyards. I understand there's a massive push by this administration to put them everywhere and anywhere. And variances are for hardships. We haven't shown any hardship here. And I just really encourage that when we're granting them, that we look like where we're putting them. This man doesn't need 12 feet from his property line, and I hope that we look where we're giving them, that we're giving them out judiciously, because that's the promise that was made when we made this bylaw. I understand it's statewide, but we actually have parameters that we can put in place that we can guide them. We can rent them out, short-term rentals, and they may have their father in there now, but who knows, in a year, he could have 2 Airbnbs in his backyard next year at this time. So I really encourage the board to look at this one because it's our first test. Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
This is simply for my father,
Right,
plain and simple.
right.
I don't want tenants. I don't want Airbnb. I want to make sure my 85-year-old father is taken care of. He doesn't have to go to a nursing home. He's going to sell his home.
Yep.
It also then plays to the whole thing of opening up, right? If we're looking at using ADUs accordingly, right, it would open up a single-family home in Shrewsbury as well, because he lives in Shrewsbury. So then that also allows you to have another single-family home available when that's a limited resource as well. Obviously, we could have just made the decision to zone this as an in-law apartment rather than an ADU, but, obviously I'm gathering, even though maybe I didn't know this, is that have there been any ADUs granted in the town yet? And are we, obviously, obviously you've had applications, but I don't know, there's, as you said, there's rough edges to work out for this. I realize that the setbacks are close on the edges. And if we have to scale back, we have to scale it back. Putting it where it is does not allow for the functionality of the yard to be used for its best use of what a yard is supposed to be used for. Right? If we were to put in this garage today, I would never request for it to be put where it is. It's been there for how many years? So ideally, if it's placed where we're requesting, whether or not we have to scale back from that setback to be more, mindful of the setback limitations of rather than, requesting the nature of the, we were trying to maximize the size of the ADU, right? Because if we're gonna bother doing it, and I understand, of course, the neighborhood character, the neighborhood, the disturbance of the building. I mean, I recognize all of that because that is something that can be for anybody, right? Any project, it's going to be that way. But ideally, I hope the board will put this to consideration that, we are not trying to abuse the setbacks or push the law, requirements or zoning, laws into question here. I understand that it has to be relooked at, but it isn't, if it has to be scaled back, we scale it back. But
Right. Okay, that's fair. I think we're trying to do the best that we can with the information that we have. Is
Understood.
there anyone else that wishes to be heard on the matter? Okay, so, we are going to have to close the public hearing and then, request for a continuation.
So we'll want to keep the public hearing open so I
sorry.
can get the interpretation from council.
Thank you, sorry. So could we get a motion to continue, and what is the next date of our,
January 26th.
no, we're not gonna
We're not
close
gonna
it.
close it. We're not gonna close it.
26th?
It's okay. We're gonna continue
Yep.
and leave it open.
Okay, so I can get a motion to continue to, January 26th, please.
I move to continue the hearing of 101 Grove Street to January 26th.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, next.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and we, for a short break, I make a motion to have a short adjournment.
Yes.
I make such a motion.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda, this is a continuation from our November 24th, 2025 meeting. This is here the appeal of 104 Main Street, a limited commercial business, the Quinn LLC. This is for a comprehensive permit to Mass General Law, Section 40B, Mass General Law 40B, Section 20 to 23, to permit the construction of a 300-unit multifamily residential development. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Matt Eckel. I'm an attorney with Fletcher Tilton on behalf of the applicant. With me to my right, your left, we have Dave Calhoun. As the board knows, we've been before you a number of times on this and discussed, I believe, kind of all different aspects relating to this proposal. We do have our full team here tonight as requested, so if there are any lingering questions or new questions for the architect, the civil engineer, or the traffic engineer, we certainly are happy to answer those. We have had, we believe now, a clean peer review letter from Graves Engineering, and we've finalized some of the traffic and safety updates and mitigation that we're proposing as part of this project. We've also had an opportunity to speak with Mr. McGoldrick and Mr. Haverty, and we believe there's hopefully the framework of a decision moving forward. So at this time, we'd like to defer to the board and see if there's any lingering questions on your side, and certainly hopefully move forward to the next steps in this project. Again, we have our full team here, so we're happy to answer any questions or discuss anything that remains open-ended on the board side.
Okay, thank you. Dave, you want to kick it off?
Just thinking about if I have any questions. I don't have any questions at this time. I do definitely have comments, so I'm just reserve that.
Ann?
Same as Dave.
I think I have a color here.
I do not have questions at this time. I'll reserve them.
Fran, questions?
No, I do not.
I don't have any questions either. Chris?
No, I can give a brief update as well. So in terms of the decision, so staff has taken a lot of the information, the discussion that the board has had, and prepared a draft decision, which I think is substantially complete. We've provided that to the board. I know, have not had significant amount of time to review it, but we did, work with the applicant. They provided red lines as well, which we've incorporated into that draft decision. So that is before the board this evening. Notable in that, what we've made for some adjustments, looking at the right turn lane in terms of the right turn from North Quinsigamond onto Main Street. The original draft had that written as full construction level design drawings, and then bonding for actual implementation of that. And further review with the applicant's attorney and town council, we feel that may be, the bonding may be an overstep. It is a MassDOT controlled road, and so in terms of putting conditions on the applicant that they don't necessarily have the power to implement under the framework of 40B may be somewhat of a stretch. So we've rewritten that to be just the construction level drawings. This project will still require coordination with MassDOT, and the town will be a party to that discussion, and we'll certainly have those discussions at that time as part of that filing. So we see that's where that's more appropriate, and it is MassDOT's jurisdiction to render any of those decisions. But we feel that the provision of the construction level drawings as a condition provides adequate support in relation to what the peer review raised as concerns related to this project's impacts. We feel it's going to measure it. In addition, the applicant has stated that they're willing to continue to contribute without the benefit of any of the fee waivers that were requested, to still provide the $42,000. I have not included a condition to that effect, but the applicant has in writing stated that they stand by that commitment to the complete streets improvements. And I just wanted to acknowledge that that is a straight community benefit without any fee waivers. So thank the applicant for that.
Okay. All right, any other comments from Chris's?
Not for me.
Okay. So, I think our thoughts at this point are that we've heard enough. We have a considerable, did I make you laugh? You've been here long enough. Yes, I understand. My personal concerns are simply just understanding what we're voting on and making sure that the waivers are all done the right way. I think that's going to take some extra time. And this is a public hearing, so we want to make sure that we walk our way through that process. And then if we decide to close the public hearing, there is some consideration to offering a additional special meeting where we would review just this appeal and talk through our decision with waivers. And it would be during January timeline, proposal of January 12th. So that's what I'm thinking. And I think the other board members may or may not agree with that.
So, Madam Chair, what is the deadline for closing the public hearing under the 180 days?
So it is I believe the 25th. So we are required to close the public hearing at this evening unless extended by mutual.
There's two options. You can close the public hearing tonight, and then you would enter your 40-day deliberation period.
Mm-hmm.
So from the date that you close the public hearing, you have 40 days to deliberate on your draft decision and render a decision. When you render your decision, that puts in forth a 14-day time period where you have to file your decision with the town clerk's office. So if you rendered a decision on the 20th day, in a public meeting,
Mm-hmm.
but not an open public meeting, it's just an administrative meeting
Mm-hmm.
to deliberate. On the 20th day, you don't get the other 20 days, you only get the 14 days to file once you take your vote. So that's
So
what
if
your
we
process is. Or if the applicant wants to have the ability to continue to have input into the decision in the waiver discussion, they could grant an extension to allow you to keep the hearing open until January 12th, at which time you would theoretically could both close the public hearing and vote on the decision, and that would put you into the 14-day period to file.
So it's an either-or situation.
It's up to the applicant whether they want to grant that extension or not. If they choose not to grant that extension, then your only option is to close the hearing and enter into that deliberation period.
Okay.
Either way, you would still meet on the 12th and have your discussion, just it's a question as to whether it's an open public hearing or an administrative meeting.
Right. Do we have thoughts on that?
We can work through both. My experience is that having the open meeting, keeping it open but still holding the dates, works better, because if you need something from outside, because once you close the hearing, in theory, you're not supposed to take in any new information.
Correct.
So you can't fix problems. And if we could come out of it with a positive, we're hoping for a positive decision. We think the board might be leaning that way. If we could gain that and keep the hearing open from now to the 12th to make it smoother and easier for people to share information, we would be agreeable to that.
Right, so you would just need a written agreement to extend the time to keep the public hearing open until January 12th.
Can you draft that?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
certainly.
Okay.
We can get that to you, we can do it. You can send it over to them in the morning,
Okay.
if that works for you.
Okay. So right now, our next step is simply to continue it to January 12th.
Yeah, we still have to take public comment, but
Right.
correct. We understand that we could continue to the 12th. With that agreement, we'll keep the public hearing open. Again, I think substantial amount of information has been received. We have the decision in very good shape, and, just having that ability to kind of fine tune it and make sure that every Ts crossed and Is dotted.
Okay. All right. All right, so I'm going to move on to the public hearing portion of this. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay. So, let's get a motion to continue to January 12th, 6 PM.
I move to continue this matter to January 12th, 2026 at 6 PM.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Madam Chair, who would you like in attendance on the 12th? Do you just need?
I don't think you need the whole,
Great,
yes,
perfect, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yes, good night. Okay. Last on the agenda, not quite last, but the last hearing on the agenda. This is a continuation from our November 24th, 2025 meeting. This is for the 409 South Street in the Office Research District, CPC Land Acquisition Company LLC, for a comprehensive permit under Mass General Law 40B, Section 20 to 23, to permit the construction of a 196-unit multifamily residential development. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair. For the record, Chris Copeland with CPC Land Acquisition or Criterion Development Partners. This is Mr. John Smolak, our attorney. We were last here, as you said, on November 24th. I think we've exchanged some comments on the peer reviews, both civil and traffic, in recent history. If the board has any comments on that, we do have our consultants here. I think Mr. Michaud is on the Google Meet for traffic, and Phil is here from A&M if you have any questions for him. But we appreciate everyone's time, and I think we'll just turn it right over to you, because I think we're in a similar situation as to what we just heard.
I think we might be.
Yeah, so I want to highlight a couple items on this. One of the pieces that the board was reviewing, and it's somewhat outside of necessarily this project, but the South Street improvements. So the applicant has provided plans in terms of a schematic design for improvements on South Street. I do know that Maureen is here and has reviewed those. She can provide any additional insight in relation to those, but they are, I think, substantially in line with what is being reviewed for those improvements as contemplated with the land disposition agreement for this to be a LIP process, a friendly 40B. So although they're not a final construction design, schematically, I think that they do kind of meet the criteria of what we're looking at. And, we'll include that as a condition. But as stated similarly, just to make sure that the Ts are crossed and Is are dotted in a decision. We do have a draft decision for the board, again, substantially complete, but just trying to make sure that we have all of those ducks in a row. Continuing to the 12th will just allow us to fine tune that and make sure that we're on the right page.
I think that's the most prudent approach. Dave?
If you're talking about a schematic, I think it'd be interesting to see and hear about.
I should have had it ready.
I have it if you want to.
Do you have the meeting invite to
The sketch that MDM did?
Yeah.
For the road safety? Yeah, I have that.
be able to pull it up?
I just need to be let in.
Oh, sorry.
Give me in.
We'll gladly let you in at this point.
Thank you. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Okay. Here's the data. Start. New. Screen. Okay, I'm really good at this. Hold on. How's that?
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Yeah, so it shows the sidewalk from the intersection all the way along to essentially the curve. So that is a considerable curve there. Provides rapid flashing beacons and a crosswalk, as well as other kind of improvements along there. So again, that's progress towards that. I believe there's a contribution towards the construction of this. Again, where we balance the project and improvements, this is one of the community benefits that are being proposed for off-site improvements. I feel that it's commensurate.
Okay.
Correct.
Yep. Any comments, questions on this? Okay.
For me.
All right, great.
Okay.
I think we're in the similar position that we were in the previous, so if you have it noted for the 12th at 6 PM. So it's a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Mr. Singer, please step forward. I've gotten to know his name by now, but we need to have you stated and your address.
Been doing this 32 years.
Yep, we know.
I'm an unlucky abutter. Just the sidewalk is going to be on the west side only, correct? Or is that from, I couldn't really get to see in
Well,
the.
that's just a study.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not a
just one.
sidewalk we're proposing
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
put in.
'Cause
So that's.
We've all
MDM's
talked
first.
about that. And the real, question, again, these guys have been great. The only thing that's kind of missing, we've talked about it, is in the original renderings and the drawings, there's absolutely there's no lighting kind of a forecast. We've talked about dark sky lighting and the shielding of the lighting to not impact, but in the original drawings, that we got as an abutter, there's just no indication that there's any outdoor lighting at all. So I just gotta get an idea of what it's going to look like in real time. And then also on the, I imagine that it looks like there's going to be a sign on the wall as you enter from South Street onto Chestnut Street, and that kind of signage to just make sure anything that gets put up there to light up the sign is at least minimal at best or completely non-impactful. It would be my biggest concerns, at this point. And other than that, again, they've just been great all along. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Quick response. We do
Sure.
concur with dark sky lighting compliance and light spillage off the site. We don't want to have that happen either.
Right, so that's a standard condition for all of our new projects is dark sky compliance and full shielding and cutoffs where necessary to avoid that. And I believe a photometric plan was provided as
I
well.
believe so, yeah. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Yeah, part of the landscape package. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so I think at this point, we are going to seek a continuation to January 12th.
With the keeping the meeting open.
So, yeah, I
Oh.
would defer to the applicant. I mean, so.
We agree with that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
concur.
sorry, I should have, so you'll write something up and get that to us?
We will,
Okay,
sure.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Are we close to the 180-day deadline on this?
No, this one we.
Yeah, so we don't need an extension.
Okay, okay, there we go.
Okay,
Sorry, it's,
even easier.
okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's,
You want a motion?
yes, please.
I move to continue the hearing for 409 South Street, Office Research CPC Land Acquisition Company LLC for a comprehensive permit to Mass General Laws, Chapter 40B, Sections 20 to 23, to permit the construction of a 196-unit multifamily residential development. Continue that to January 12th, 2026 at 6 PM.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
great holiday.
You as well. Okay, we have no further new business, and just recognize one correspondence, which is an email dated December 16th from Rita Ernwine regarding 193 Hartford Turnpike. I think that would be it for this evening. If I could get an emotion to adjourn, please.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.